Rain beat against the windows of Silver Moon Diner like 1,000 quiet sobs from the sky. Inside, the soft yellow glow of tired lamps reflected off chrome tables and coffee-stained menus. It was the kind of place where people came to disappear, where every booth had its own story of loneliness. In the far corner, near the window fogged with rain, sat a man who looked like he'd forgotten what sunlight felt like. Ethan Cole, 39, had been coming to the diner every night for nearly 4 months. Always at 7 p.m. sharp, he'd order black coffee, 2 fried eggs and a slice of toast. It wasn't hunger that brought him there, it was habit. The only thread keeping him from unraveling completely. The ring once on his finger was gone. His apartment was half empty. And his heart, well, that was buried deep beneath the wreckage of grief he still couldn't climb out of. His wife, Hannah, had died in a car crash the previous winter. Since that night, Ethan's world had gone cold and colorless. He didn't believe in fate anymore, or kindness or happy endings. Every polite smile felt fake. Every warm word felt temporary. He just sat, night after night, listening to the clinking of silverware, the hum of the jukebox, and the steady rhythm of rain that never seemed to stop. Before we go further, if you believe in compassion, second chances, and the beauty of unexpected connections, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep sharing stories that touch hearts. That night started like every other, until it didn't. The diner door flew open, and a rush of cold wind swept in along with a woman soaked to the bone. She held a small girl in her arms, no older than 7, with dark curls plastered to her forehead and a shiver running through her tiny frame. The woman's coat was torn, her shoes muddy, and her eyes darted around the room like she was looking for a miracle. Ethan barely looked up at first, until the child coughed weakly. Something about the sound made him glance again. The girl clung to her mother, whispering something Ethan couldn't hear. The woman approached the counter, speaking softly to the waitress. "Please," she said, her voice trembling, "can I just get a bowl of soup for my daughter? I'll pay you tomorrow. We haven't eaten since morning." The waitress, a kind-faced older woman who had seen her share of hard stories, looked apologetic. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I can't give food on credit." "It's against policy." The woman's shoulders sank. She kissed her daughter's forehead and whispered, "It's okay, sweetie. We'll find something soon." Something shifted in Ethan then. Maybe it was the child's pale face. Maybe it was the quiet desperation in the mother's voice. Or maybe it was the faint echo of his wife's voice in his head, reminding him who he used to be before the grief. Without thinking, he stood up. His chair scraped the floor, turning a few heads. He walked to the counter and said simply, "Put their meal on my bill." The woman turned to him, startled. "No, please, you don't have to." "It's fine," he interrupted gently. "Let the little one eat." "Sit down." She hesitated, then nodded with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'm Grace, and this is Lily." They sat across from him in the booth. The little girl's eyes brightened when the steaming bowl of soup arrived. She ate slowly at first, then faster, smiling with every spoonful. Grace's face softened as she watched her daughter finally warm up. Ethan didn't say much. He wasn't used to talking anymore, but for the first time in months, he found himself watching something that felt real, pure love between a mother and her child. Grace told him quietly that she'd lost her job 2 months ago. Their landlord had evicted them, and they'd been staying at a crowded shelter. Tonight, they had nowhere left to go. She didn't ask for pity, just a chance to rest. Ethan listened, really listened. Her voice carried a strength that came only from surviving too much. When she laughed softly at something Lily said, it startled him. He hadn't heard laughter that genuine in so long. Hours slipped by unnoticed. The rain eased and the diner emptied. Lily fell asleep on the seat, her head in Grace's lap. Grace brushed the child's hair back and whispered, "She's all I have." "I just hope I can keep her safe." Ethan's throat tightened. He'd said something like that once, long ago, before everything fell apart. "You're doing more than most," he said quietly. "You're still fighting. That counts for something." Grace looked up, her eyes shining. "You sound like someone who's been through a lot too." He gave a small smile. "Yeah, you could say that." When they got up to leave, Grace tried to hand him a few crumpled dollars. "It's not much, but I'll pay you back." Ethan shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. Just take care of her." She paused, then reached out and touched his hand lightly. "Thank you. You have no idea what this means." After they left, Ethan sat there for a long time, staring at the empty booth. The diner felt different now, warmer, quieter, in a peaceful way. The next morning, as he left his apartment, he spotted Grace and Lily sitting on the library steps across the street. Grace was reading to her daughter from a tattered book, her voice soft against the cold air. Ethan hesitated, then crossed over. "Hey," he said gently. "You two doing okay?" Grace looked up, surprised, then smiled faintly. "We're fine. Just waiting for the library to open. Found a place to stay yet?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not yet. The shelter said maybe next week." He hesitated, then said quietly, "I've got a spare room. It's small but warm. You can stay there until you get back on your feet." Her eyes widened. "We couldn't." "You can," he interrupted softly. "No strings attached. Just a safe place." She looked at him for a long moment before nodding, tears filling her eyes. "Thank you." Over the next few weeks, something extraordinary happened. Ethan's house, once silent and lifeless, filled with warmth again. Lily's laughter echoed through the halls. Grace insisted on cooking breakfast every morning. Slowly, the walls around Ethan's heart began to crumble. He told her about Hannah, about the accident, about how he'd stopped living afterward. Grace listened with quiet understanding, sharing her own story of fear and survival. Together, they found healing, not through grand gestures, but through small, everyday kindness. One evening, months later, Ethan came home to find Lily drawing at the kitchen table. The picture showed 3 people holding hands beneath a bright yellow sun. "That's you, me, and Mommy," she said proudly. "We're a family now." Ethan's eyes stung. He looked up at Grace, who stood by the stove, smiling shyly. And in that moment, he realized that sometimes life brings us the people we need most when we've stopped looking altogether. On a rainy night, in a lonely diner when all he wanted was to eat alone, he'd found a reason to believe again. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue creating stories that remind the world that kindness still exists. Tell us in the comments, what's the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you? Your story might just inspire someone today.